proposal to outlaw caste discrimination sparks backlash against California senators. This is actually way more juicy than it appears on the surface. A groundbreaking bill has been introduced to California's Senate that seeks to explicitly ban and outlaw caste discrimination, making the state the first in the country to do so. The proposal was filed by State Senator Aisha Wahab, the first female Afghan American elected into the state's Senate. The bill aims to include caste as a protected category in the state's anti-discrimination laws, following in the footsteps of Seattle, which became the first city in the U.S. to ban caste discrimination. The proposed bill has faced pushback from some Indian Americans who argue that it discriminates against Hindus. However, Wahab remains steadfast in her belief that the bill is relevant across different religions and ethnicities and is necessary to protect Californians from discrimination. While Wahab's proposal has received significant pushback, including death threats and anti-Muslim slurs, the senator remains resolute in her determination to fight for the rights of all Californians. So, let's break this down. There is new legislation that has been introduced to the California State Senate, which partially controls the legislation for the entire state. And this is the first time that there has ever been legislation introduced to a state senate to outlaw caste discrimination in a U.S. state. So just the introduction of this type of legislation is itself very significant. Now, this senator has received huge pushback from this. I'm talking her staff is asking her whether she thinks that she should wear bulletproof vests. There are people coming into their office berating and verbally abusing her staff. They've had to ask for additional security. They've been flooded with messages and from inside and outside the country. And there was even a former Indian colonel who on television said that anyone who is anti-national towards India, both inside and outside the country, basically should be put to death.
Wow. Okay, YouTube, we're not saying this. We're just covering the news. We condemn this. We are not for this.
And this is being defined as anti-national. In that framing, saying we're outlawing caste discrimination, that is being framed as anti-national. And so I read an interview with Aisha Wahab, and this woman actually seems really cool. So she is the daughter of some Afghan refugees, and her family came over in the 80s, and then her parents died, and then she was put into foster care and adopted by an Afghan American couple in Fremont, California, which is now part of the district that she represents. And it's very significant where she's doing this in California. So she's doing this in Northern California. She's doing this in the Bay Area. Specifically, she's representing a district that has San Jose, Hayward, and Fremont included in her district. And this is significant because this district has the largest proportion of South Asians in the entire state. So she's from Hayward. She was on the Hayward City Council. And Hayward is the same city where the California State University system adopted anti-caste discrimination policies on a state level. And that happened because of activism from Dalit students coming out of Cal State East Bay at Hayward. So this is all happening in a rising out of Hayward or rising out of the same area, right? And this is because there is such a large population of South Asians in this region of California that caste is maintained. Because I remember I was living in Oakland and I had a roommate that worked in Hayward. She would tell me about how her coworkers were complaining about how difficult it was to find someone within her caste that she actually wanted to date to marry. Like her colleagues are casually talking about their caste standards in dating in their community in this part of the Bay Area. This is part of their workplace conversation here in California.
How is this going all over? Like, why are these people not modernizing? Like, how is this still with them?
Well, Dr. Ambedkar, decades ago, said that anywhere the Hindus and Indians travel around the world, caste will travel with them. He predicted this decades and decades ago.
Okay.
And also, the Bay Area is also where Equality Labs is based out of, which is controversial. For Hindu nationalists, a very controversial organization because they're pushing for Dalit rights, especially in the workplace. So this is all happening in the same area. This is all happening in the Bay Area. And it's very significant. And so
I don't know. You go ahead because I want to say something else. We'll go on.
Finish. Yeah. Okay. So this lady seems really cool because I was reading into her background and she seems really interesting. And I was reading an interview with her by Time magazine. And Armin, this is a little bit off topic, but listen to this answer. So Time magazine asks her, how has your Ramadan been? How has this harassment, the death threats, has this affected how the month has felt for you? And she said, I'll be honest with you, I don't actually practice. I've never claimed to be a religious individual, and I'm not representative of the entire religious community. But we can be intersectional in our identity, and we're not always 100% what people expect us to be based on our identities. So that was a very political answer. But I feel like she's like low-key saying that she's like an ex-Muslim.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
That's cool. I like it.
And so she's saying when she gets threatened, a lot of people are saying that she's a Wahhabi, and because she's Afghan, they say that she's Talibani, and this is why she's hateful towards the Hindu community. And that so the fact that it's someone, Armin, I mean, you know how things will go with these Hindutva, right? Just because of your name, you've been told that you have Muslim blood, So when her name is Aisha Wahab, imagine what she is getting.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. I can't imagine because her first name, her last name, and also the fact that she's a woman. She must be under so much pressure right now. I mean, I was told so many times when Hindus came after me that I'm a Muslim, and I was like, okay, sure. Like people were pointing out to them that I burned the Quran, I'm an ex-Muslim, and all of that stuff. And I'm like, oh no, it's in your blood. Like once a Muslim, always Muslim. They think it's part of your identity, and there's nothing you can do to get rid of that. Which actually brings me back to what Dr. Ambedkar said and what you said. Saying that Dr. Ambedkar says like Hindus will bring this always with them, and that is part of the Hindu psychology. I don't know if I like that because it seems like it's so essentializing as if it's part of their DNA. I do think like this is something that people could shake off. I mean, just because they have it, that doesn't mean. Okay.
I think he's talking about within the system of faith and values that are imbued with people, it becomes part of your psychology. It's a learned behavior.
Right. Okay.
I would never think that this is something essential to anyone.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to make sure that we say that in case it came off across like that to anybody. Because Newman is saying, enjoy your weekend, guys. Oh, thank you.
Thank you for the super chat, Newman.
Thank you for the super chat. We got another super chat by Secular Sakai. Do you want to read this one? Thank you so much.
Secular Sakai gave us $10. Thank you, saying this is proof that this law is needed. The proper response to this is to shed more national attention on the matter in the USA. It cannot be swept or dismissed for fear of alienating India. Red lines exist. I completely agree. I think about how the people who are doing this against her are playing their hand so much. Because there are people that do not understand the level of vitriol that exists within this community. I have never seen anything like it in my life. And so when you're directing that towards an elected official to the point that there are people saying you should wear bulletproof vests, do you think that reflects well on the opposition to such measures? No.
It's insane.
You played yourself. You're exposing yourself. There are people who don't have that much, like, they think that Hinduism is just a way of life and it's all very airy-fairy and it's all very like, oh, kumbaya. And then when the behavior that they see is this, it destroys any whitewashed marketing that's been going on in their life for years instantly. It's a mask off moment. So you're playing yourself. But I mean, please continue to play yourself. Please continue. And I thought this was funny. Young atheist, our local Pakistani ex-Muslim, is saying fully support Aisha. I think that's probably one of the few times we'll hear him say that.
There's a couple other comments I want to highlight. D saying they want the right to discriminate like evangelicals. Exactly. That's their idea of religious freedom. Blue Rain is saying, actually, Ambedkar said that there's nothing wrong with the Hindus. It's their scripture which makes them castes. Well,
Exactly.
that's good. Yeah. GJ is making a good recommendation to everybody. GJ is saying, please also share Atheist Republic and this live stream on other platforms to grow. Apostate Prophet and David Wood had like 725 viewers last night. Yeah. And AR have Atheist Republic has 2 million.
To 2.5 million members on Facebook alone.
Members on Facebook alone. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, these things are not transferable. But yes, guys, please do share our stream so that we could grow a little bit. Yeah. Thank you so much for the suggestion, GJ. Yeah, please, guys.
Thank you.
It's not just
a good reminder
for. Yeah, it's not just like for our, it's for a channel to grow. It's not just about the creators. It's also about the community. So if we are to grow, it's also up to you guys if we grow or not. It's based on how many times you decide to share or not. There's only so much we can do. The rest is like up to you guys. Yeah.
And I just want to say, if you guys live in the Bay Area, particularly State Senator Aisha Wahab's district, send her a letter of support and support this measure, because that does make a huge difference when addressing elected officials. And to end this segment, I would like to have a quote from Dr. Ambedkar himself. He said, quote, all the same, it must be recognized that Hindus observe caste not because they are inhuman or wrong-headed. They observe caste because they are deeply religious. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Amazing.
We can just leave it at that.
Well, no, we can't, because we got another super chat about the same topic by Secular Sakai.
Thank you, Sakai. He's saying, Americans in California or any state show this lawmaker support. Yes, exactly. Send a message, make a call, let her office know they have support. It makes a difference. It really does. It makes a huge difference. I actually met with my congressman recently to talk about something. And so I could see firsthand how it makes a big difference. But I can't talk more about that right now.
Yeah, we should later.
But soon.
Soon. Thank you, Secular Sakai. Thank you. You can now get the sexiest blasphemous art ever known to mankind for free. Too sexy to show most of it here on YouTube. We draw Muhammad, Hindu goddesses, sexy hijabi art, Jesus, Mother Mary, Japanese god, Greek gods, and much, much more. Click on the link below where it says, get our free blasphemous art.